Today, we are gathered here today on this solemn occasion to try to learn a few of the laws of hand washing before eating bread. There are rather a lot of them, actually, as I just mentioned. Mitzvah Hashem, when we finish this and we move on to the halachas of Lechem Mishnah, of having two loaves of bread for Shabbos, you'll see that the halachas are a lot shorter. It's just an interesting thing how detailed and how complex the halachas of washing your hands are. It's best not to wash your hands in the bathroom. Now, we need to try to understand a little bit about the halachas over here of bathroom in general, because when the halacha talks about a bathroom, it's not really talking about the bathrooms that we have today. Bathrooms that we have today are very hygienic, they're very clean. I'm not talking about dormitory bathrooms, I'm just talking about, a generic bathroom. They're very hygienic, they're very clean, there's nothing left there after it's all been flushed away. In the olden days, bathrooms were truly, pretty nasty places to go into. So today, it's interesting. Is it okay today to go into a bathroom if that's the only sink that's there in order to wash your hands and then step outside to make the bracha? So the answer is yes. It's better not to do it if you can avoid it. But if it's not avoidable, then that's what's okay to be done. What you need to make sure you do is that once you've washed your hands inside of the bathroom, that you come out, your hands should still be wet when you come out of the bathroom, which means don't dry them off in there and then come out, but rather come outside and wash them and then make the bracha outside. So for example, you could be in all kinds of different places where the only sink available is a sink that's in the bathroom. So that's what you need to do. Here, for example, if you fly, right, as far as I'm aware, airplanes don't have sinks for Netilas Yadayim anywhere. Not yet, anyway. Not yet, right? So how are you supposed to wash your hands? So you'd have to wash your hands using some kind of a vessel, wash your hands in the bathroom, and then step outside, and you also have to make sure there's no smell around. It's also a little bit of a problem with things like aeroplanes when you're in a very constricted area and the air is being... So you're not really getting fresh air over there. It's air that's being, what's it called, Recycled, thank you.
I saw a woman on Alal just making Netilas Yadayim in the aisle.
Where did the water,
She was pouring water out of the cup onto her hands and it was just falling onto the floor.
Okay, I would actually say, if this lady, I'm being serious now, if this lady feels, there are opinions that say you shouldn't wash your hands in bathrooms. Good, right? So if this lady is following the more stringent opinion and she does not want to wash her hands inside of the bathroom, I think that's perfectly okay. I don't think it's okay to wash your hands in the aisle, though, which means, if you want to, so don't wash your hands, right? Or if you can, have a little container underneath you and just catch the water and get rid of it somehow.
The keeping the hands wet so you can make the bracha part, is that just for if you have to wash your hands in the bathroom because there's no other option, or is that for all hand washing in general? Because I've been keeping my hands wet to make the bracha every time.
No, that's good. That's great. Really, you should come out, hold up your hands, make the bracha, and then dry them afterwards. That's the correct way to do it. So you're doing the right thing. A lot of people, though, tend to at least dry off their hands, get rid of a lot of the moisture before they start making the bracha, which is not really the correct thing to do.
But as far as is a requirement, is it only a requirement if you have to wash in the bathroom?
No, I think you should be doing that anyway, actually. I think it is the correct thing to do. If possible, again, it's not going to be possible on something like an aeroplane. But if it's possible, you can take the water from the bathroom, take it out of the bathroom, and wash your hands. Let's say, for example, the only sink available is a sink inside of a bathroom, but you're having a picnic and you're going to wash your hands outside. You can fill up your Netilas Yadayim cup from the water from the tap that's in the bathroom, and then step outside and wash your hands.
But it's problematic to waste it for the water to fall onto the ground.
No, it's not. Not for this water. Only for the water you use when you get up in the morning.
Ah, fine, okay.
Right, this water is okay. Okay, what do we do if you want to go? You need to go to the bathroom, and you need to wash your hands for Natilas Yadayim as well. Right, which very, very often it happens. You're just about to start the surah, and before the surah begins, you want to just quickly go to the bathroom. So what should you do? What's the problem? The problem is like this. If you make the bracha of Asher, you come out of the bathroom and you wash your hands, and you make the bracha of Asher Yotzar, and then you make the bracha of Al Natilas Yadayim, then you've made a gap between washing your hands and making the bracha. If you say Al Natilas Yadayim and then say the bracha of Asher Yotzar, which is the bracha you recite when you come out of the bathroom, and then you make Hamoitzi, so you've made a gap between washing your hands and making Hamoitzi. If you wash your hands, make say Al Natilas Yadayim and then say Hamoitzi, and after you've eaten the bread, you then say Asher Yotzar, so you've made a gap between having finished in the bathroom and having made the blessing. Now the truth is like this. Until when, let's just go off on a sidetrack for a minute. Until when can you recite the bracha of Asher Yotzar, the blessing of coming out of the bathroom? Until you need to go to the bathroom again. Because the whole time that you don't need to go to the bathroom again, you're getting hana, you're getting benefit from the fact that you were there in the bathroom the first time. And then you can make the bracha the whole time, even if you forgot, you came out and you forgot, and later on you realized that you don't need to go back to the bathroom yet, so that's okay. Right? But over here, what are we supposed to do over here? So, again, there are two different approaches. One approach is that you wash your hands and you recite Asher Yotzar, and then you wash your hands again, and you make, and then you make the Al Natilas Yadayim, and you make Hamotzi Lechem and Oretz straight afterwards. Right? That's one option. The second option is that you wash your hands, you make sure your hands are still wet, and you make the bracha of Asher Yotzar, which is the bracha you make coming out of the bathroom. And then afterwards, whilst your hands are still wet, you make the bracha of Al Natilas Yadayim, and then you can go and you can make Hamoitzi straight away afterwards. Okay, here, just a little halacha over here. What do we say? What's the bracha? Asher kitchanu mitzvah v'tivanu Al Natilat Yadayim. Right? Yadayim is in the plural because you're washing both your hands. What bracha do you recite when a person, if they can only wash one hand? So I mentioned the other day that my mother-in-law has broken her wrist, and she now can only wash one hand when she comes to wash her hands because the other one has got a cast on it. So she would also recite the bracha of Al Natilas Yadayim. Why is that? We don't change, as a rule, we don't change the lashon, we don't change the language that was used, that was introduced at the time of the great rabbis to make a bracha, even when only one hand is being washed over here. There is an opinion which says that if only one hand is being washed, that you shouldn't make a bracha at all. Again, it's an opinion of the Aruch HaShulchan. Which is the opinion you should follow? I think the opinion to follow is the regular opinion, which is you make the bracha of Asher Yotzar, you make the bracha of Al Natilas Yadayim, even though you're only washing one hand. But again, you know, if somebody didn't make the bracha, so fine, they can rely on the Aruch HaShulchan, who says that it's okay. That's actually the better thing to do, he says. What do you do? Somebody's made the bracha of Al Natilas Yadayim, then they decide that they don't want to eat. Now, it is possible. It might be difficult for yeshiva bochim to be able to relate. You know, food is food, right? It doesn't matter what it looks like. You just got to eat it, right? But it is conceivable that you might have somebody who comes in, washes his hands to eat Al Natilas Yadayim, and then realizes that he doesn't want to eat after all. For whatever the reason he doesn't want to eat, it's a problem. What's the problem? Because you've now made what's called a bracha levatala, right? A bracha levatala, which is what? You've said God's name, you said the bracha for no reason, because the only reason to make the bracha of Al Natilas Yadayim is to eat bread. If you're not going to eat bread, then you've made a bracha of Al Natilas Yadayim for no reason whatsoever. So the best thing to do in a situation like that is to eat a little bit of bread, and then to at least you've made the hamoitzi, you can eat enough bread just to be able to have to bench afterwards, and then you've done what you need to have done. That's the best thing to do.
What if you can't? Like, what if you've made hamotzi and then you realise someone says to you, "Oh no, this is mezonot."
Oh, if it's mezonot, the truth is, if it's mezonos, then that's good news for you, because if you eat enough mezonos and you were intending to make a meal out of it, so then you should wash and you should say Ana Tilas Yadayim, which is good, right? That's good for you, which means that, let's say, you get one of these, somebody's giving you a sandwich, right? So you go and you wash and you come back, and then afterwards you see it says in the sandwich a little sticker which says Mazonis, right? Now, what are you supposed to do with something like that? Again, if you're being kover suda, if you're making a meal out of this, so yeah, you should wash and bench over it anyway. That's a lot less complicated. What do you do if you've made an Alno Tilish Adayim, for example, and somebody gives you a roll which is made out of, I don't know, rice flour, which is not, that's not, even though you might make a mazonis over it because of the problem with rice, but in general it's not something that you can bench over afterwards. So then, what does one do? So you made a bracha that you shouldn't have made, but it was made inadvertently, it wasn't your fault, so it's a lot less problematic.
Then would you bench or not?
You wouldn't bench at the end if it's something that you're not supposed to bench over, right? So again, if you
recite a new bracha and then just let it be. You'd say Hashakol and then just get on with things.
What's happened? You've washed Ana Tilas Yadayim and you've sat down, and then somebody says to you, by the way, before you started eating, somebody says, by the way, that thing over there that you're eating is really shahakol. It's gluten-free. Then at that point you would make a shahakol over it and you would eat it, and at the end of having eaten it you would just make a regular Borena Fashot, which is the shortest after blessing that there is. Well, once you've washed your hands, back to washing your hands. Once you've washed your hands and you've made the bracha, you need to dry your hands very well. You should not be making hamotzi with wet hands. Okay, which means that you've got to the lashon Chazal in the Gemara, it's a Gemara in Soita. Chazal say that if somebody eats bread with wet hands, it's as if they're eating impure bread. Right? Because if you remember, the reason for washing the hands to begin with is to wash off the impurities. If some of the impurities are still left on your hands together with the water, and then it touches the bread, so now what have you done? The Mishnah Berurah says, what about if you use a lot of water to wash your hands with? So now it's not a problem, all the impurities have gone. So he says, nevertheless, it's a davar mos, it's considered to be a disgusting thing to do, and you shouldn't eat bread with wet hands. You should dry your hands very well. You should dry your hands on something, right? Which means, so either a towel, paper towel, something like that, hand right? Dry. This is all lechatchila, right? Lechatchila, you should use something to dry your hands with. But the eved, if there's no other alternative, it is permissible to either use a machine, right? The machines that throw out hot air, and you dry your hands by holding them underneath. Not on Shabbos.
Unless it's been running
and
all of
or you can air dry your hands. Right? Air dry your hands, for those of you who are not sure, is going like that. A towel that's very wet. Now this could be a problem here in the yeshiva, for example. I imagine the truth is now that they probably use paper towels nowadays. But when I first came to yeshiva, nobody used paper towels. It was much too expensive, and they just had towels that were like they were sewn together on a rod, and you just
some of the shuls have that, and I can't stand it.
They're terribly unhygienic.
They come and replace them when they're theoretically.
Well, in yeshiva, for sure, they came and replaced them. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was pretty regular. They came once every Rosh Chodesh or something, and they. Maybe once every other Rosh Chodesh, but whatever, it was definitely regular, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, they replaced it.
Yeah, because there were things growing on it. It was definitely a problem of, sfichin and whatever. Anyway,
every yovel they replaced it.
If you've got a very wet towel, then it's a problem. It's probably better. It's probably better to. Well, I was going to say to dry air your hands, but I want to jazz air your hands rather than to use a very wet towel. Now again, Baruch Hashem, most places use paper towels nowadays, which is a far better thing to do, that's for sure. Don't dry your hands on your clothing, even though you might be tempted to do so if there's nothing else to use over there. Certainly not your shirt. That's actually brought down in the halacha not to do that.
So air dry is preferable to using your clothes.
Yes. The Gemara actually says, now again, it says that wiping your wet hands on your shirt causes people to forget their learning, Again, I don't really understand the sort of like the more mystical dimensions that revolve around this, but definitely as far as we're concerned, as a practical dimension, it's not something you should do. Of course, if you do dry your hands on your shirt and it causes you to forget your Torah learning, then you'll be able to dry your hands on your shirt afterwards without being the least bit bothered by it.
That's an
Because,
ironic thing, that, yeah.
wait a minute, there's something, wasn't there something, I can't remember what it is. Anyway, so it's better not to do that. Again, like I said, you know, if you don't have any other alternatives, so you can definitely air dry your hands. That's okay. You know what? One last halacha for today, mitzvah Hashem. But when you come to make hamoiti, when you come to make the anatilis yadayim, you come to wash your hands, you should make sure that what you need in order for the suda is ready. Right, which means you need the bread, right? You can't go and wash your hands and then go into the kitchen and start looking around for the roll. Where did you put the rolls or start even worse, start baking? But you know what? Okay, that's a little ridiculous. But you know, you can't to warm up your roll. You can't pop it into the toaster oven or something. Everything needs to be ready, right? You should have your knife and your salt over there, ready to be able to make the bracha straight away afterwards, because we want to make as small of a gap as possible between washing our hands and making the bracha. Of course, we all understand that when you're in a large gathering, so when you're, let's say, for example, in a Shabbaton, and everyone's gone to wash, the first people that wash are going to be waiting a while until the person who makes hamoiti is able to make hamoiti, because everybody's got to come and sit down. That's okay. When the gap is only to do with the practical dimension of waiting for the bracha to be recited, that's okay. However, you need to keep in mind that you're sitting and waiting for the hamoiti, not to be thinking of other things in the interim.
So all this.
If that's
It's
the
a
case,
it's a problem, right? I think it's a problem.
Let's say you're having chicken soup,
Okay.
and you wanted to, let me put some bread. I forgot completely about mochi and everything. Then you remember, wait a minute, I'm eating bread. You make a mochi
You should get up, even though you've started, right? You
Right.
should get up and you should wash your hands.
And then-
You should make anatilas yadayim. You should find yourself a piece of bread that hasn't been dunked in the soup. Make hamoiti and then continue eating the bread. You have to be careful. You should know that they serve croutons, right? What are croutons? Bread that's been fried or baked with a little bit of spices in order to put into things, put into salads, put it into soup. You have to be careful because most croutons require you to wash your hands.
Not the tiny yellow ones.
Those tiny little yellow ones are not, no, they're okay.
No bread in there.
And interestingly enough, again, the halachas are a little bit complicated, but if the thing has been made it's been baked or fried and cut up and made in order to be croutons, it's a lot less complicated. So there are croutons that you can buy that are little cubes of bread. Actually, they're okay. You don't have to wash for them. But most places, right, especially when you go to restaurants, what do they do with their leftover stuff?
They make them croutons.
They turn them into croutons. It's a very good thing. Otherwise, this thing is going to be thrown away. It's going to go to waste, right? For that kind of stuff, you need to know. Whatever your wife or your mother decides that she's making homemade croutons, and she just takes some bread and however you make it, fry it or bake it or whatever it is. You need to know that you need to wash over that stuff. Yeah, I think it's a problem. Once you've washed your hands and you're waiting, right? All of these conversations that take place without any words, I don't think there's very much difference between that and speaking, right? So the or with the hands, right? All of that kind of stuff. It's a problem because it says that you're supposed to remember the whole time whilst you've washed your hands, you're waiting for the bracha to be recited. You're supposed to be remembering that what you're doing is waiting for the bracha to be recited. You're not supposed to be doing anything else. You're really not. So, for example, it does say you're allowed to ask if there's no salt on the table, right? And you're trying to get somebody to realize you need salt. They're not picking up the hint. You can say salt. So what? You go like this. Nobody realizes what it is that you're like. And if it doesn't work, so it's permissible, even though you've washed your hands and you're not supposed to be speaking, it is permissible for you to say salt in order to have the salt brought to the table.
Can you say please?
If you're English, no one else uses that word. It's very antiquated, you know that. It does somewhat dates you, It's like Anyway, okay, we're going to stop over here with Hashem.
If you do speak,
Yes.
like I was in Burger's Bar last night, and I washed, and then the guy called me over to collect my food, and he started speaking to me, and I had to speak. What should I have then done?
What you really should have done is that you should have sat down and made a emoji take a bite and then go back.
But okay, I didn't. So what I did was I went back and I washed.
Washed again without a bracha.
Without bracha.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But in case, especially when this is Jewish restaurants that they're used to people not cooperating. That's for sure.
How was the burger?
It was amazing.
What are the times that you don't make bracha?